when my daughter grabbed the gift from my hands and threw it into the trash like it meant nothing. The entire ballroom went silent. She wasn't just throwing away a piece of jewelry. She was throwing away years of memories, love, and a mother's hopes right in front of everyone. In that one cruel moment, I finally understood something painful. The family I had spent my whole life protecting had been broken for a very long time. Before we begin, a huge thank you to all of you. We've officially hit 500 subscribers. It's a small milestone but a big deal for us. And now our eyes are set on the 1,000 subscribers goal. To help us get there, please hit the like button, subscribe so you never miss a story, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and how you're doing. Your support truly keeps this channel going now. Let's get into the story. My name is Eleanor. I'm 72 years old. And that night was my grandson Leo's 10th birthday. Earlier that day, I sat on the edge of my bed, holding a small blue velvet box in my hands. Inside was a jade pendant, deep green, smooth, with a thin line inside it that looked like frozen lightning. My late mother-in-law had given it to me decades ago. "This stays in the family," she had said. "One day, you give it to your grandson." Life hadn't been easy after my husband passed away. There were times I barely had enough money to get by. I thought about selling the pendant more than once, but every time, my hands refused to let go. "Mom, we're going to be late," my son Michael called from outside my room. "I'm coming," I replied, carefully placing the box into my purse. At the hotel, everything sparkled: gold walls, crystal lights, soft music floating through the air. It felt too grand for someone like me. I spotted Leo running toward me in his little suit. "Grandma," he shouted, hugging me tight. My heart melted instantly. Then Jessica appeared. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, a red designer dress. She took the gift from my hands with a tight smile. "Please sit over there," she said, pointing toward a corner table. I watched from afar as expensive gifts were shown on stage: gaming consoles, designer shoes, gold watches. Applause followed each one. Then Jessica's voice echoed through the room. "And now," she said, smiling, "Leo's grandmother will give her gift." My legs felt weak as I walked to the stage. I handed the box to Leo. "This is from our family," I said softly. Before he could open it, Jessica snatched it from his hands. She looked inside. Her smile vanished. "What is this?" she said into the microphone. "Did you buy this trash from a street market?" And then she threw it away, straight into the trash can. As I stood there, frozen in shame, I had no idea that this humiliation was only the beginning of a much bigger storm. Because what they didn't know was this: what she threw away was worth far more than money. And it was about to change everything. I didn't cry on the stage. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I simply stood there while the silence swallowed me whole. Every eye in the ballroom was on me. Some people looked uncomfortable. Some looked amused. A few pretended to look away. My grandson's eyes were wide with confusion, and my son Michael's face had turned pale. "Mom," Michael whispered, taking a small step forward. But he stopped. He didn't defend me. He didn't say a word. I slowly walked toward the trash can. My knees felt weak, but I forced myself to bend down. The velvet box was sitting on top of paper plates and ribbons. I picked it up carefully, wiped it with my sleeve, and closed it like nothing had happened. Then I turned around and walked off the stage. No one clapped. No one spoke. Jessica had already turned away, smiling at the guests like the moment didn't matter. Outside the hotel, the warm night air hit my face. Only then did my hands begin to shake. I stood near the entrance, unsure where to go. I hadn't driven. I hadn't planned an exit. A taxi pulled up. "Need a ride, ma'am?" the driver asked kindly. "Yes," I said quietly. "Please, take me home." As the car moved through the city, lights flashing past the window, I finally let the tears fall. Not loud tears, just silent ones that soaked into my scarf. I held my purse tightly, my fingers wrapped around the small box, inside like it was the only thing keeping me steady. 30 minutes later, I was back in my small apartment. The silence there felt heavier than the ballroom. I placed the velvet box on the table and opened it. The jade pendant rested inside, untouched, glowing softly under the lamp. I traced the thin line inside it with my finger. "I kept you safe," I whispered. Even today. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Michael. "Mom, I'm sorry about what happened. Jessica didn't mean it. She was stressed. Please don't take it personally." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I locked the phone and placed it face down. Just then, another alert appeared on the screen. News breaking. Food poisoning reported at Crestwood Grand Hotel. Multiple guests rushed to the hospital. I froze. The same ballroom. The same tables. The same people who had laughed minutes earlier. I looked down at the jade pendant again, a strange chill running through me. That night, as I lay in bed, the box tucked under my pillow, one thought kept repeating in my mind. What if that pendant wasn't meant to be thrown away that night? What if it had been protecting me all along? Because the next morning, someone would knock on my door and what they knew about that jade pendant would change everything. The knock on my door came just after sunrise. I hadn't slept much. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the trash can, the faces in the ballroom, and Jessica's smile. For a moment, I thought I was imagining the sound. Then the knock came again, firm, polite, but urgent. I opened the door slowly. A man in his early 40s stood there, wearing a dark coat and holding a leather folder. His hair was neatly combed, and his eyes were serious but kind. "Mrs. Eleanor Harris?" he asked. "Yes," I said cautiously. "My name is Daniel Wu. I work for the Caldwell Heritage Foundation." He paused, then added, "I believe you were at the Crestwood Grand Hotel last night." My heart skipped. "Yes," I replied. "Why?" He glanced down at the folder, then back at me. "May I come in? What I need to tell you is about the jade pendant." My hands tightened around the doorframe. Inside, I offered him a chair. He declined, choosing to stand instead. From the folder, he pulled out an old black and white photograph and placed it on the table. In the photo, a younger woman stood beside an elderly man. Around her neck was a jade pendant. My pendant. That woman, Daniel said gently, was my grandmother. I stared at him, confused. She came to the United States in the 1940s, he continued. That pendant was passed down through our family for generations. During the war, it was lost. Or at least, we thought it was. My chest felt tight. "My mother-in-law gave this to me," I said slowly. "She said it belonged to her family." Daniel nodded. "She married into ours. That pendant is called the green vein. Jade. Only 3 pieces. Like it exists in the world." I felt dizzy. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because last night," he said quietly, "someone recorded what happened at the hotel. The video spread online. Our foundation monitors rare artifacts. When we saw the pendant, we knew." He opened the folder again and showed me documents, old letters, faded maps. "That pendant is priceless," he said. "Not just in money. In history." I looked down at the small velvet box on the table. "All these years," I whispered, "I was told it was only family jewelry." Daniel met my eyes. "It is family," he said. "Yours, and legally, it belongs to you." My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Michael. It was Jessica. "We need to talk. Urgently." I looked from the message to Daniel. Outside, sirens echoed in the distance. Something told me the quiet days were over. Because what Jessica was about to ask for wasn't forgiveness, it was something she never thought I would refuse. I didn't reply to Jessica's message right away. Instead, I sat quietly while Daniel explained more. The jade pendant wasn't just rare, it was protected. Any sale, transfer, or public display had to be documented. If the foundation chose to step in, lawyers would follow. Media would follow too. When something like this goes public, Daniel said carefully, families often change. He wasn't wrong. After he left, I made myself a cup of tea and finally opened Jessica's message again. Please come over. We need to clear things up. Clear things up. Those words made my chest feel tight. An hour later, I stood outside my son's house. It was large, modern, and spotless, nothing like the small home Michael grew up in. I rang the bell. Jessica opened the door immediately, her smile wide but nervous. There you are, she said. Come in. Michael sat on the couch, his hands clasped together. He wouldn't meet my eyes. We didn't sleep last night, Jessica said quickly. Everything just got out of hand. I was humiliated, I said calmly. She waved her hand. That was not my intention. You know how stress makes people act. I looked at Michael. Do you? He finally looked up. Mom, please, let's not fight. Jessica sat beside him and leaned forward. About the pendant. We didn't realize it was important. You called it trash, I replied. She paused, then softened her voice. Look, some people online are saying it's valuable. Very valuable. If that's true, we should handle this as a family. I understood then. This wasn't about my feelings. It never had been. So what do you want? I asked. Jessica smiled. We think it should be sold. For Leo's future. Private schools, investments, you know, and the money, I asked. She hesitated. We'll manage it responsibly. I stood up slowly. The pendant was never meant to be sold. Her smile faded. You're being emotional. No, I said, I'm being clear. Michael stood up to. Mom, please, just think about it. I have thought about it, I replied. For decades. Jessica's voice hardened. If you don't cooperate, this could get complicated. Is that a threat? I asked. She didn't answer. I picked up my purse and walked toward the door. My hands were steady this time. Behind me, Jessica spoke sharply. Don't forget her alone in this. I stopped but didn't turn around. That's where you're wrong, I said quietly. Because as I stepped outside, my phone buzzed again. A message from Daniel. The foundation is ready to make things official. And suddenly, I realized Di wasn't powerless anymore. Because once the lawyers got involved, my family would learn a truth they never expected. And it would cost them far more than pride. 2 days later, the truth exploded. I was sitting at my kitchen table when my phone started buzzing. Non-stop. Calls, messages, unknown numbers. At first, I ignored them. Then I turned on the TV. The headline filled the screen. Rare jade artifact discovered at local hotel birthday event. My hands went cold. They showed a blurred clip from the party. The moment Jessica grabbed the gift. The trash can, the shocked faces. My face was barely visible, but the story was clear. Experts were already talking. This pendant is believed to be worth millions. One man said, but its cultural value is far greater. Millions. I turned off the TV. An hour later, Michael called. Mom, he said quickly, his voice tight. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? I asked calmly. That it was worth so much. I took a deep breath. Because I didn't know. And even if I did, it wouldn't have mattered. There was silence. Then Jessica's voice came on the line. People are attacking us online. Do you know what this is doing to our reputation? My reputation was destroyed first, I replied. That was a misunderstanding, she snapped. This is different. No, I said softly. It's the same. Later that day, Daniel arrived with 2 lawyers. Papers were spread across my table. They explained everything slowly, carefully. The pendant was officially registered in my name. Any attempt to take it, sell it, or pressure me could be challenged in court. You are fully protected, one lawyer said. For the first time in years, I felt safe. That evening, there was a knock at my door. I already knew who it was. Michael stood outside alone. No Jessica. He looked smaller somehow. I should have stopped her, he said quietly. I was wrong. I studied his face, the boy I raised, the man he became. I didn't raise you to stay silent, I said. He swallowed hard. She's furious. She says you're tearing the family apart. I opened the velvet box and showed him the pendant. This held our family together, I said. Your silence broke it. Tears filled his eyes. I don't want to lose you, he whispered. I closed the box. That depends on what you choose next. As he left, my phone buzzed one more time. A message from an unknown number. If you don't hand over the pendant, the next story won't be so kind. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. They weren't done. Not even close. Because the next move wouldn't be emotional, it would be dangerous. And someone was about to cross a line they couldn't come back from. I didn't sleep that night. The message kept replaying in my mind. The next story won't be so kind. It wasn't a request. It was a warning. By morning, Daniel and the lawyers were back. You need protection, Daniel said firmly. This has gone beyond family drama. I hated the word protection. It made me feel fragile. But deep down, I knew he was right. That afternoon, a black SUV began parking across the street from my apartment. 2 men stayed inside, quiet and watchful. They weren't there to scare me. They were there to make sure no one else did. Then the articles changed. New headlines appeared online. Elderly woman manipulated by outside group. Grandmother refuses to help her own grandchild. I read them slowly, my chest tightening with each word. Jessica's voice was everywhere in a view. Statements, carefully chosen tears. She's confused, Jessica told one reporter. We're just worried she's being taken advantage of. Taken advantage of? I laughed softly, a tired laugh. Michael came by that evening. He looked exhausted. She hired a PR team. He admitted, they're turning people against you. I poured him tea. And you? He didn't answer. Then he said, she wants a meeting. One last chance to settle this privately. I met his eyes. Is that what you want? He hesitated. I don't know anymore. The meeting was set for the next day at a law office downtown. Jessica arrived dressed in white, calm and confident. Her lawyer sat beside her. Mine sat beside me. This doesn't need to be ugly, she said sweetly. Just sign over the pendant. We'll even let you keep a small percentage. I leaned forward. You already tried ugly. Her smile vanished. Then don't blame me for what happens next, she said coldly. After the meeting, as I stepped outside, a young woman approached me. Mrs. Harris, she asked softly. I work for the hotel. She glanced around nervously and handed me a small flash drive. There's something you should see, she whispered. Before they erase it. That night, Daniel plugged the drive into my laptop. The video began to play, and suddenly, the truth was no longer something they could control. Because the footage on that drive would expose a lie so big. It would destroy every story Jessica had carefully built. The video was clear. It showed the ballroom from a different angle, one the guests never saw. Jessica's face was calm, focused, almost cold. There was no stress, no confusion, no accident. The footage showed her grabbing the gift, looking straight at another woman nearby, and smirking before tossing it into the trash. Then came the sound. Her voice, low, sharp. Let her feel small, she said quietly. The room went silent in the video, just like it had in real life. Daniel paused the screen. This changes everything. My hands trembled, not from fear but from relief. I wasn't imagining it. I hadn't misunderstood. It was deliberate. This was emotional abuse, my lawyer said. Public humiliation. And combined with the threats and media manipulation, this is serious. The next morning, the video was released. Not by me. By the hotel. Within hours, it was everywhere. Social media exploded. People who had called me selfish now demanded answers. Comment sections filled with anger not toward me, but toward Jessica. She planned it. That smile says everything. How could her husband stay silent? Michael called me, his voice shaking. She lied, he said, about everything. She told me you embarrassed her first. I closed my eyes. And you believed her. I know, he whispered. I'm so sorry. By noon, Jessica's interviews vanished. Her PR team released a short statement blaming misunderstanding and private stress, no apology, no responsibility. Then came the legal notice. The foundation filed an official complaint: harassment, defamation, and attempted coercion. Jessica called me that evening. Her voice was different now, tight, controlled. You think you've won, she said. This isn't over. I answered calmly. It ended the moment you chose cruelty. There was silence. Then the line went dead. That night, Michael came to my apartment again. He looked broken. I filed for separation, he said quietly. I didn't celebrate. I didn't comfort him. I simply nodded. Some choices come too late. As he left, Daniel stood beside me at the door. There's one more thing, he said. The foundation wants to honor you publicly for protecting the pendant. I looked at the velvet box on my table. For the first time, it felt light. But deep down, I knew one truth. Jessica hadn't made her final move yet. Because when someone loses control, they don't always walk away quietly. And her last attempt would be the most dangerous of all. The night was quiet, but I couldn't sleep. My hands rested on the velvet box. The jade pendant glowing faintly in the moonlight. After everything, the humiliation, the threats, the lies, I finally felt a strange calm. Michael was upstairs, asleep in the guest room. Leo was with Arthur for the night. For the first time in weeks, the house felt safe. Not just because of the laws or the foundation, but because the truth was finally out. I thought about Jessica. She had tried to control everything: Michael, Leo, even me. But she had underestimated one thing: the strength of a mother's love. Every decision I had made, every sacrifice, wasn't for wealth or recognition. It was for my family, for the memory of my husband, and for Leo. The next morning, the foundation held a small ceremony to officially recognize the pendant as part of the Miller family heritage. Journalists were there, but I didn't care. I didn't need their applause. Michael stood beside me, holding my hand. And for the first time, I saw him truly proud, not of his job or his wealth, but of our family. Leo ran up to me, a bundle of energy, and hugged me tight. Grandma, I'm glad you're here, he said. His innocent eyes looked straight into mine, and I knew I had done the right thing. Later that day, Michael called Jessica. He was calm but firm. I won't let anyone hurt my family, he said. And for the first time, she didn't argue. She didn't threaten. She stayed quiet. I looked at the pendant in my hands. The thin lightning streak shimmered as if it knew the battles it had survived. It had protected our family in ways I never imagined. Sitting by the window that evening, I watched the sunset paint the city in gold. I thought about my husband, my son, and my grandson. All of the hardships, all the moments of fear and doubt they had led to this. A family reunited in truth and trust. I whispered softly to myself, no matter what comes next, this is ours. Our history, our love, our family. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at peace. The jade pendant rested against my chest, a quiet reminder that some treasures are more than money or fame. They are the bonds we protect, the memories we honor, and the love we pass down through generations. Even when life tried to break us, we survived, and that was the greatest victory of all. The Miller family heirloom wasn't just a pendant, it was proof that love, Patience and courage can withstand even the darkest trials. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so more people remember. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to stand up for yourself.